This time I'm here to talk about a fairly scholarly book that I got a review copy of off of Library Thing, which is a book cataloging site I use. This particular book is The Role-Playing Society, edited by Andrew Byers and Francesco Crocco, I assume. Normally not the sort of thing I read, and I really don't know why I requested a review copy of it at all. I mean, I have played some computer role-playing games, I've never played any tabletop ones, though, even though I've always wanted to. And frankly, I have read a few other books published by McFarland, who published this, and they tend to be really, really boring and geared for the academic market. This is easily demonstrated not only by the boringness, but also by the ridiculously high prices they charge for them. So it was a fairly safe bet that I wasn't going to enjoy this. And frankly, I don't expect most other people would enjoy it either. It's not really something written for enjoyment, it's something written for academic purposes. But even so, I'm still going to try and give it a fair review and give you a reading from it like I usually do. In this case, from the introduction.
Dungeons & Dragons, the seminal role-playing game first published in 1974 by Tactical Studies Rules, Inc., is now 40 years old. D&D and its successors have spawned a vibrant industry and subculture. In the last decade, scholars from across the disciplinary spectrum have explored the origins, characteristics, cultures, and player experiences of RPGs. Yet, little scholarly attention has been devoted to the meaningful ways RPGs have shaped and transformed society at large over the last 40 years. RPGs were remarkably influential in the design of video games, particularly in ways unknown to many contemporary video game players, and became widely represented in film, television, and other media. They have gone on to transform other areas of society as well, including education, corporate training, and the military. The earliest major academic work on RPGs is Gary Allen Fine's Shared Fantasy, Role-Playing Games as Social Worlds, a seminal ethnography on the early RPG community. The majority of recent publications have followed in this vein by focusing on the cultures and practices of gamers, rather than examining the cultural influence of RPGs outside the RPG community. For instance, the fantasy role-playing game A New Performing Art by Daniel Mackay expands upon Fine's examination of the communal practices of role-playing gamers, suggesting that the performative, theatrical, and artistic aspects of RPGs as a means of creating shared imaginative spaces has been largely overlooked.
Oh yeah, sorry. Like I said, this is really, really boring. The whole book is really, really boring. It was a struggle to read it. I mean, it only contains 12 essays, each of which is about 15 or so pages, but it took me like a whole freaking week to read the book. And normally a book of that size I'd be done within 2 or 3 days if it was even remotely enjoyable. Okay, maybe not. Depending on how busy I was, it might take longer, but this one I basically had to force myself to read it because it was so boring. I mean, it's 12 essays plus that introduction, all on how role-playing games have helped shape society. And there's, of course, a good bit of repeating. Just about every single one of them seemed like it had to mention that they were, RPGs dated to the 70s and founded by Gears and based off of tactical war games. And anyway, it's not really the sort of thing any casual RPGer would be interested in, trust me. I mean, unless you're some sort of academic who's planning on maybe teaching a course in role-playing games, or you're a student who's taking a course in role-playing games that has been assigned this book, you're not going to want to read it. And really, in the second case, you're not going to want to read it either, but you might have to if your instructor assigned it or something. But anyway, the 12 essays are all on, how RPGs influence the world, and includes all kinds of stuff. There's, information on the Satanic Panic and how RPGs fed into that. And if you're wondering, yes, it even mentions the famous chick tract, what's it, Dungeons of Darkness or whatever it's called, that is so ridiculous. You should really look it up online if you haven't, because that is just hilariously stupid. And there's also quite a few essays on the use of RPGs in education, which were all boring as heck, but it sound like would have made the education fun, but the essays themselves are not. There's an essay on gamification of business, which the whole adding badges and all that, and experience points and stupid crap business stuff. There's even an essay on use of clout, Klout, the thing of measuring their social media presence, and how that is so important. And I was quite surprised by that, because I didn't think anybody took that stupid piece of crap seriously, but apparently some people do. Some guy, it starts off with a report of how some guy didn't get a job because his clout score was too low. I don't know. And yeah, the only essay that I found even remotely tolerable was the one on how RPGs influenced other games, like other tabletop games like board games and card games. And mostly I just found that interesting because they mentioned Munchkin, which is one of my favorite games. Overall, I'm not really qualified to judge this book's academic standards, because that would require more research than I'm willing to put into it. And I'm not an academic. But really, if you want to get this because you're an RPG fan and you're interested in this stuff, well, knock yourself out, I guess. You'll regret it though, because it's too freaking expensive. I think it retails for like $30 to $40, maybe $45. I don't know, but you could buy yourself an RPG book for that price, or not much more. Maybe, I don't know what they're charging for those things these days. But it's really boring and not particularly interesting. And unless you're an academic, you should probably pass. So I'm only going to give it 2 gas masks, because frankly it is really, really boring and not really something for the consumer market. So I don't know why they gave it to me to review. And that's all I've got to say. I will have more reviews probably next week. Until then, keep on reading. Hopefully better things than this. Goodbye.
If you like this video, please click subscribe or watch some of my older videos. If you think the book I reviewed sounds interesting, buy a copy. There are always links to the Amazon store in the description for this book and any other books I mentioned. If you have any suggestions on other books I could read, or any other comments, queries, insults, or anything else you want to say, please feel free to mention it in the comments section.